Hello and welcome to this presentation on applying to university, getting down to details. My name's Mark, I'm a recruitment officer for Manchester Metropolitan University. In this presentation, I'll discuss the UCAS application process. I'll also go over the purpose of a personal statement. We'll talk about what to include and how to structure your personal statement, and there'll be a chance to ask any questions as I'll leave contact details at the end. So let's take a look at what you should do before you start your application. Before you start your application, it's really important that you head over to the UCAS website, ucas.com, where you can access lots of useful resources to help you with your research at this point. The UCAS website gives you access to subject guides, and it allows you to filter by different criteria including subject area and also by the various locations you are considering at this stage. Remember, there's over 50,000 courses available and more than 395 higher education providers in the UK, so it's important that you do your research. Let's move forward and take a look at the UCAS application process itself. So what does your UCAS application involve? Let's start with the basics. The first thing you'll need to do is register an account on the UCAS Hub. The UCAS Hub will keep your application and everything else all in one place. You can submit your application as early as September the year before the course is due to start, and you will have until the 26th of January, which is the main UCAS deadline, to complete and submit your application. With the exception of some universities and also some courses such as medicine, dentistry and veterinary science, which often have an earlier UCAS deadline, which is usually in October. Any applications received after the deadline don't have to be considered by the universities. It's down to them to decide whether or not to consider your application. Your school or college will have their own internal deadline, which is often much sooner than the UCAS one, so it's important that you work closely to this. If you are unsure of your internal deadline, speak to your teachers and advisors to make sure you are clear about when this is. Now let's look at the UCAS application. There are a number of different steps as part of the overall process, which you'll see here on the screen. Firstly, you'll need to head over to the UCAS website and register your account. The first part of the application will ask for your personal details. This will include details such as your name, address, date of birth and other details depending on you as an individual. So if you're an EU national student, you'll have to confirm your settled or pre-settled status. Make sure that you double check all of your details. It's really important that information, even as simple as your email address, is accurate and correct. Make sure as well that when you're using a personal email address, it's professional. In the course choices, you're able to input up to 5. These choices can be at either the same or different universities. To complete your education history, you'll need to input your GCSEs and your current studies, so for example A-levels, BTECs or perhaps an access course, and be as accurate as possible when filling in this information. That way the admissions tutors at the universities you apply for will be able to easily access the information that they need. The employment history is your opportunity to talk about the basics of your work experience and any part-time roles. You will only need to supply basic details. You'll be able to mention any relevant work experience and expand further in your personal statement. Which brings me on to step 6, the most time-consuming part of your application, as this is your personal statement. You'll have to write this yourself and demonstrate reasons why you are a suitable student for the course that you are applying for. Once you have completed all of the above steps, you will then need to go back through all of the information as a final check for any errors. Your application will also need to be supported by a reference, and this will most likely be an academic reference written by your school or college. There is a cost involved as well with your application, so if you submit your application for one choice, you will need to pay £22. If you apply for more, then you will need to pay £26.50. Typically, most students will apply for up to 5 courses, as it's important to keep your options open at this stage. So what happens after you press send? Your chosen universities will receive your application from UCAS. Each university will not be able to see where else you have applied for. You will then need to wait to hear back from the universities on their decision. If your course does not require an interview or second stage, such as an audition or portfolio review, you will either be made an offer if your application is successful, or unfortunately an unsuccessful offer if it is not. If the course you have applied for does involve an interview or second stage, you will receive one of the two outcomes mentioned just now after completing this additional step. Let's look at making decisions about your offers. Making decisions about your offers is a really important step. There are two main types of offers. Firstly, a conditional offer, which will depend on you achieving certain grades as outlined in the entry requirements of the course, and potentially some other criteria depending on that course itself. The other type of offer is an unconditional offer, which means that this offer is yours to accept and that you have met the entry requirements on your application alone. It's really important that you check this offer carefully, as once you accept this type of offer, you have committed to this one over any other choices. To track your application, log on to your UCAS Hub, where all information will be kept in one place. The UCAS Hub is where you will be able to respond to your offers as well, and you will need to decide which offer you would like to accept as your firm choice, and which one you would like to accept as your insurance choice. If you meet the conditions of your firm choice, you will be placed on that course. For many students, choosing an insurance choice is essentially a way of securing a backup option, which is why your insurance choice is typically an offer with lower entry requirements. If you don't receive any offers back in the main cycle, there are further opportunities to consider. If you have used all 5 choices at this point, you can use a service called UCAS Extra to apply for additional courses one at a time in the UCAS Hub. There is also further opportunity to gain a place at university through a service called Clearing. This service is open for students to apply if they are not holding an offer, and also a service open to any students who are applying for the first time in the cycle. For the most up-to-date information on when these services are available, visit the UCAS website and take a look at their UCAS timeline. Now let's take a look at the purpose of the personal statement. The main aim of your personal statement is to impress the university admissions tutor. Your personal statement is also your opportunity to demonstrate why you stand out amongst other applicants. A personal statement is really important. It might be what persuades the university admissions tutor to offer you a place on the course over another applicant. How much should you write? There are some restrictions which UCAS put in place with your personal statement. Your statement should be no more than 4,000 characters with a minimum of 1,000. With regards to the layout, the personal statement should be no longer than 47 lines of text. This usually fills one side of A4, so as you can imagine, this isn't a lot of space, considering that you will need to include all of the great things that you have achieved, opportunities in your current studies, your work experience, and your interests and hobbies. Because of the importance of your personal statement, you can expect to complete a number of drafts before your school or college are happy for you to submit it. So let's go into more detail and talk about what to include in your personal statement. There are 3 things that you need to focus on including in your personal statement. Firstly, your personal statement should demonstrate your suitability and enthusiasm for the course, so you want to be thinking about all the reasons why you are a suitable student for that course that you are applying for, and getting those reasons across in a really enthusiastic way. Secondly, you want to highlight the reasons why you have applied for this particular course. Pinpoint the reasons why this particular course within your chosen subject area is of interest to you. Demonstrate that you have done your research where possible. Finally, your personal statement is a chance for you to showcase your strong written communication skills. Whilst admissions tutors will be looking at the content, they will also be considering things like your punctuation and grammar. UCAS does not have a spell checker, so we would recommend writing your personal statement in Word first and then transferring it over when you're ready to submit. Now let's take a look at how to structure your personal statement. It's really important that you have a nice clear structure with your personal statement in order to make it easier for the admissions tutor to read and identify the different information they will be looking for. Start with a nice clear introduction, focusing on reasons why you want to study this particular course. Your introduction doesn't have to be too long, around 4 to 6 lines should be fine. This is your chance to open with why you want to study the course and also an opportunity to stand out and encourage further reading. Your second paragraph is where you should discuss your academic studies. Here you want to be thinking about your current studies and how they relate to the university course. You might also want to think about any extra reading you have done. Universities really like to see reading in your personal statement because this shows that you have gone above and beyond, demonstrating your interest in that subject area. In your third paragraph, you might want to include any work experience you've gained, any part-time jobs that you've had or may have done previously, and check whether work experience is required for your course anyway, as some courses will have this as an additional requirement. Many students have part-time jobs and question if they should include it in their personal statement. The answer is yes. Even if a job is not directly related to your specific subject area, you can still demonstrate important transferable skills such as organisation and time management. The fourth paragraph is where you should talk about your extracurricular activity and anything additional that you want to mention. You might want to talk about your interests, hobbies, and anything else extracurricular that you have got involved with in school or college. Your conclusion should summarise the reasons why you are a suitable student for this course and highlight the reasons why this course is the right one for you. A really useful framework to work by is the ABC rule. So A is for activity, B is for benefit, and C is for course. This is a really good way of talking about the different activities that you've been involved with, highlighting the benefit of doing them, and finally making that link to the course. You can use the ABC framework in any of the paragraphs within the main body of your personal statement, and this will really help you to make all of your examples relevant to the course that you are applying for. The way the ABC framework works is that you first talk about your activity. So first write about the thing that you've done, whether this is related to your academic studies, whether it's work experience, volunteering, or anything else that you want to highlight as an example. Then you go on to consider the benefit of doing this activity. So what skills, what knowledge, and what experience have you gained from doing this? And finally, you want to consider how this can be made relevant to the course that you're applying for. You can make any experience relevant to your subject area by thinking about the transferable skills and knowledge that you have gained. Let's look at the do's and don'ts, starting with the do's. So make sure you're prepared for plenty of drafts. You're unlikely to write the perfect personal statement straight away, so be patient. Back up any statements with examples, so think about that ABC framework that we've just spoken about. And keep the reader engaged by varying your language and avoid using I at the beginning of every sentence or repeating words and phrases. Check out relevant course pages on universities' websites, so make sure that you're well informed about the course that you are applying for. And remember, this one statement will go to all of your choices, so try and make it as relatable as you can to all courses. Ask people to read your application and particularly your personal statement so they can feed back anything constructive. Tutors, advisors, family and friends can all help with this. Here are some of the don'ts. Don't feel the need to use overly elaborate or formal language. Just stick to using simple, plain English. The most important thing is that your personal statement is nice and clear and easy to read. Don't waffle, be concise, because this will help you to make the most of that limited character count. Don't copy anybody else's work. UCAS uses software to check for plagiarism, so do make sure that your work is completely your own. Don't submit your personal statement without checking multiple times for any mistakes. And don't lie. Writing about your experiences that you haven't had or embellishing on others could cause you problems later down the line. Anything that you include in your personal statement may be something that you are asked about later on. Don't use quotes unless they truly add something to your personal statement. If you're using a quote in your personal statement, it's really important that you tell us why you are using this quote. If you would like to find out more about us, you can book onto one of our open days. You can book your place and plan your day at mmu.ac.uk/open day. Thank you for taking your time to listen to this presentation today. If you have any questions or any questions around our courses, please email us on courses@mmu.ac.uk. You can also search for us on your socials. Just search for ManMet Uni and our web link is there as well, mmu.ac.uk. Thank you.